Hi, I'm relationship coach and breakup expert Brad Browning. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what ghosting is, why men do it, and how to stop it from happening to you. Ghosting is defined as the practice of ending a personal relationship with somebody by suddenly and without explanation withdrawing from all communication. And like I said, today I'll be talking about ghosting in romantic relationships, and more specifically, the men who do it to women. So here's a typical scenario. You meet a nice guy, you go on a few dates, things to be going well, or at least okay, and then one day you text him, and there's no response. It's like he just disappeared into thin air. Well, you've just been ghosted. Now, don't be alarmed, because according to studies published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, more than 25% of people have reported being ghosted at least once by a romantic partner. Now, most often, ghosting comes in the form of just not responding to messages, but it can also extend to unprompted blocking on social media, failing to follow up on plans, or even just completely disappearing without a trace. Now, first of all, I want to say that I don't condone ghosting. It is hurtful, it's confusing, and it's inconsiderate. But there is a bit of a silver lining, and that is even though ghosting hurts more in the short term and it can prevent you from getting closure, it can actually be easier to get over than just a traditional breakup. Now, of course, this isn't in defense of guys to ghost. In fact, it's actually the exact opposite. The truth is that any guy who ghosts is immature, rude, and he's probably not worthy of your time. And if you can keep that in mind, it will make moving on much easier. And beyond that, closure is overrated anyways. Ghosting tells you all you need to know about the breakup, and whatever his reasoning was, he simply doesn't want to be with you. And even a guy, if he seems to be, upfront about ending things, there's really no guarantee that he's telling the truth anyway. Men are often going to lie just to spare your feelings. Now, let's talk briefly about why ghosting happens. Now, I've identified 4 main reasons why men ghost women in the modern dating world. First one, there's just no connection. So in this kind of scenario, he's realized that there's no spark between the two of you. You'd see this too if you weren't so wrapped up in the idea of trying to win over this exciting new person. Sometimes, we get ahead of ourselves and we miss important indicators of incompatibility. Scenario number 2 is if he just sort of wants to leave it open-ended. Now, many guys think that, if they simply don't break up with you, then they can pick things up, right after where they left off, no matter how much time has passed. And the scary thing is, they're often right. If you think about it, you go on 3 dates with somebody, you sleep together once, he calls you and says, I don't think I want to see you anymore, I don't think we have enough in common. Obviously, you're going to be upset, but you appreciate his honesty, and this allows you both to move on. But what if he never called you, right? At first you're hurt and confused, but since you didn't have that potentially difficult conversation in the first place, you eventually just stop thinking about him. You never really deal with the breakup, and your last memory of him was, a pretty decent date and waiting for his call. And the truth is, it's easier to come back from ghosting someone than it is to come back after having an actual breakup. So, watch out, he'll come back to haunt you in a few months when he's lonely or he wants to hook up. 3 is when, he just has a different view of relationships. Quite frankly, people see relationships in a lot of different ways, and this is, affected by how they grew up, how their parents interacted with them, how they've been treated in past relationships. And also, those who date more often and more casually may think that not responding to a couple of your texts, isn't the end of the world, while those who are less experienced in dating or more strictly monogamous, might see it in a much more negative light. It's really all a matter of perception. Now, ladies, don't you wish you knew more about how others view dating? Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon as well, and then you'll get updated every single time I release a new video. And you can stay up to date with the latest cutting-edge dating information right here with Love Learnings TV. Please subscribe. Show your support. Number 4, he doesn't want to have the conversation. Now, a lot of men just lack the emotional intelligence and the guts to be upfront about ending a relationship. In this kind of case, he's hoping that you won't confront him and that he can simply forget about having the whole thing without ever, having to actually take responsibility for his actions. In the end, ladies, whatever reason he had for ghosting you, it comes down to just one simple fact. This guy just isn't that into you. I'm sorry, I know that is hard to hear, but it is often the truth. So if you're sitting next to the phone all day thinking about a guy, remember that he's already moved on and that you probably should be thinking about it too. So that's what men are thinking when they ghost you, or at least most of them. But how do you stop this from happening in the first place? Well, here's the top 5 ways to stop men from ghosting you and to keep them coming back for more. Number 1, have high standards when it comes to how men treat you. See, letting men get away with whatever they want is not going to make them like you more. In fact, a lot of guys are going to lose respect for you if you don't, stand up for yourself and assert your desire to be treated properly. That's usually because men subconsciously want a woman who holds them to a high standard. He basically wants to be that knight in shining armor, but first, you need to become his princess. So how can you establish these high standards? Well, don't let him ignore you. Don't be his booty call, and don't let him cancel plans at the last minute or flake out on you. Number 2, use Amy North's text chemistry program and the advice in it. I mean, ladies, don't you wish you could send him a text that he couldn't possibly ignore? Thankfully, Amy North has granted that wish for you. Just go to coachnorth.com/texting right now to watch Amy's full free video presentation on her brand new text chemistry program. Years of research have gone into creating these texts that will make any man obsessed with you. Basically, all you have to do is copy and paste one of Amy's texts, and guys won't leave you alone. Again, watch Amy's free video and learn about her texts at coachnorth.com/texting. Number 3, change your perception of what ghosting actually is. We talked about the definition of ghosting earlier, which is, of course, the practice of ending a personal relationship with somebody by suddenly and without explanation withdrawing from all communication. Now, if you think about it, that actually leaves a lot of room for ambiguity. How far into a relationship do you have to be before it's even considered ghosting? I find that a lot of my clients, they're hurt by ghosting after only one date. Some even think, that they've been ghosted by a guy when they simply just didn't get one response to a Tinder message. And really, this is where a change of mindset can come into play. If you've only been on, 1 or 2 dates and you haven't really been in regular contact, that's probably not even actually ghosting. On the flip side, of course, if you've been together for months and he skips town, that's not really ghosting either. It's something much worse and much deeper. Now, I don't want you to think that's normal. That person is just being especially inconsiderate and bordering on emotionally abusive. And number 4, only date men who can communicate honestly and directly. I mean, men who are, truly secure in themselves, they probably aren't going to ghost you. But how can you know for sure? Well, finding out if he fits the bill, it takes openness and honesty on your part. You can't compromise on the things that are really important to you. And you'll know that he lacks these qualities when you bring up something real and revealing and he makes a joke or changes the subject. So let silences hang rather than trying to fill them, and you'll see what he's really all about. And number 5, make him chase you. Now, no one in a position of power in a relationship ever has been ghosted. And that's because, they're not the ones doing the reaching out. He can't ghost you if you don't text him, right? So let him be the one to pursue you. He'll send the first text, he'll ask you out, and he'll plan the date, and he'll be trying to get closer to you rather than pulling away. Now, I'm not suggesting that you be cold, just be cool, and an added benefit of this, of course, is also that the relationship is going to develop a little more slowly, and that way you build a solid foundation rather than, just jumping straight into a relationship. And this, in the end, is going to lead to a longer, stronger relationship that's more intimate in the long run. Now, this is the best and really the only way to go from ghosted to girlfriend, is to make him chase after you. All right, beautiful people of YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Now you know why men ghost and what to do to prevent it from happening to you ever again. And don't forget to check out Amy's texts at coachnorth.com/texting to get some great texts that you can send to a man tonight to get him interested in you. And if you have a story about ghosting or being ghosted, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I love reading all your comments, your personal stories down there. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.